He sees everything, every twitch, every glance, every lie. Patrick Jane walks into a room and instantly knows who's hiding what and why. But for all his brilliance, there's one thing he never saw coming. A red, smiley face, painted in blood, staring down at him from the bedroom wall. That was the day Patrick Jane stopped pretending he was in control. Before that moment, he was a fake psychic. Charming, arrogant, and untouchable. He made a living lying to people, reading them, controlling them, until the one man he couldn't outsmart, Red John, tore his world apart. Jane's wife, his daughter, gone in an instant, and all because he played God on television. This isn't just the story of a brilliant detective. It's the psychological collapse of a man who built his identity on illusion, and then had to live with the wreckage when the illusion broke him. So what really drives Patrick Jane? Is it justice? Revenge? A need to redeem himself or punish himself? What happens when your greatest gift becomes your greatest curse? This is the mind of Patrick Jane, and it's more dangerous than you think. Before he was a consultant, before he hunted serial killers, Patrick Jane was a celebrity. A fraud with perfect hair, dazzling charm, and a primetime slot on national television. He called himself a psychic, but really he was just very, very good at watching people. He read body language like a book, listened for the pauses most people miss, and turned human pain into profit. And for a while, it worked. He had money, applause, a mansion, a beautiful wife, and he believed, deep down, that he was smarter than everyone else. Then he went on TV and made a mistake he couldn't unmake. He taunted Red John, mocked him, laughed, said he could see inside his twisted little mind, told the world he wasn't scared. That night, Red John broke into Jane's home. He killed Angela and Charlotte, and left his signature painted in their blood, a smiley face on the wall, grinning, watching. It wasn't just a tragedy, it was a psychological annihilation. Because Jane wasn't just grieving, he was ashamed. He blamed himself, not just for provoking the killer, but for believing his own myth. The narcissist who thought he could read everyone never saw the real danger coming. And the worst part, Red John read him perfectly. From that moment on, Jane's identity changed. No more flashy suits, no more stagecraft, just a man with haunted eyes chasing a ghost he could never quite catch. Jane didn't join the CBI out of civic duty. He didn't want justice, he wanted access. The Red John case became his life, and solving crimes was just a means to that end. But here's what makes Jane different from every other investigator. He doesn't rely on evidence. He relies on instinct, on manipulation, on making people unravel themselves. He flirts, mocks, charms, offends, whatever it takes to push someone off balance. And more often than not, it works. Because Jane's grief didn't destroy his abilities, it sharpened them. He became more dangerous, more ruthless, more willing to play with people's emotions like pieces on a chessboard. And while he'd claim it's all for the greater good, sometimes it feels like he's doing it just to feel something. That's the paradox of Patrick Jane. He's emotionally numb, but hyper-aware of everyone else's emotions. He's broken, and yet somehow always in control. Patrick Jane doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, but make no mistake, he's an addict. His drug of choice? Control. The rush of knowing something you don't, of pulling the strings in a room full of people who think they're in charge. Every trick, every trap he sets for suspects, it's not just about catching criminals. It's about proving he's still the smartest man in the room, that the world didn't break him, not completely. He'll lie to victims' families. He'll bait killers into revealing themselves. Because to Jane, justice isn't always clean. It's clever. He needs to win. It's how he keeps the darkness at bay. Because if he stops, if he lets go of the game, all that's left is silence. The echo of a daughter's laugh he'll never hear again. The memory of blood on the walls. And that's something Jane can't bear to face. So he keeps moving, case after case, trick after trick. But underneath it all, he's not chasing justice. He's chasing relief. Here's the part most people don't want to admit. Red John and Patrick Jane aren't opposites. They're reflections. Both manipulate people with ease, Both understand human fear better than most psychologists. Both wear masks, perform personas, hide behind charm, and both are obsessed with control. It's no accident that Red John always stayed one step ahead. He knew Jane better than Jane knew himself. He predicted Jane's moves, anticipated his traps, and, more chillingly, got inside his mind. For years, Jane played catch-up, and it drove him to places no CBI agent should go. Fake lists, illegal operations, betrayals, and finally, when he discovered the real Red John's identity, Jane didn't hesitate. No trial, no backup, no mercy. That wasn't justice, that was execution. And in that moment, Jane crossed a line he'd spent years walking. So the question becomes, did he finally beat Red John, or did he become him? When Red John died, Jane didn't find peace, he found silence. For so long, the hunt had filled the void left by his family's murder. But once it was over, he had nothing left to chase. No purpose, no plan, just the weight of everything he'd done. So he vanished, into the beaches of South America, into solitude. Not to heal, to escape. But then Lisbon came. That mattered more than anything. Because Teresa Lisbon was never just Jane's boss. She was his tether to humanity. The one person he couldn't manipulate, and wouldn't dare to. She challenged him, called him out. But she also stayed. Through the mind games, the lies, the obsession, she stayed. And when Jane finally told her he loved her, it wasn't a trick, it was a surrender. Choosing Lisbon meant stepping off the endless chessboard. It meant putting someone else's heart ahead of the game. And for a man who spent years avoiding real emotion, that was the bravest move he ever made. Patrick Jane wasn't just a brilliant detective, he was a broken man who turned his pain into purpose, who lied to the world and to himself until someone finally called his bluff. His mind was a weapon, his charm a shield, but in the end, it wasn't a trick that saved him, it was love. And maybe that's the real twist. Not that he caught Red John, but that he lived long enough to stop running from himself. What do you think? Did Jane truly heal, or did he just learn how to hide it better? Drop your theories in the comments, and if you're as obsessed with The Mentalist as we are, hit subscribe. We've got plenty more coming.